welcome to the fourth part of Witch Hunter Codex week for the 4th edition Codex Witch Hunters. And today and tomorrow we'll begin looking at named characters, the 2 named characters within the book. The first one being Inquisitor Lord Karamazov, the Pyrophant Judge of Salem Proctor. Inquisitor Lord Karamazov, the Pyrophant Judge of Salem Proctor. Inquisitor Lord Fyodor Karamazov's reputation as a ruthless, unforgiving witch hunter was already well known throughout the Segmentum Solar when he famously clashed with his Ecclesiarch Decius the 23rd in M41945. The confrontation almost came to outright battle and concerned excruciation and eventual immolation of a young preacher from the world of Salem Proctor. This world had broken faith with Ecclesiarchy, its apostate cardinal, turning the world's resources to his own ends, casting out all who defied him. Inquisitor Lord Karamazov led a fleet together with 2 entire orders of Adeptus Sororitas to dispose of the apostate cardinal, but upon arrival he found the world already in rebellion against this notorious traitor ruler. A lowly preacher named Icariel led the revolt of the populace of Salem Proctor against the traitor cardinal, and together with Inquisitor's forces defeated his armies and cast him from the burning ruins of his cathedral. None who met the young man could fail to be moved by his simple eloquence, his devotion to the emperor, or his humility. To some, his incredible rallying of a planet was proof that Icariel was divinely guided, and that the light of the emperor moved within him. It did not take long before Inquisitors of the Thorian faction heard of this incredible young cleric, and feverish with the prospect of discovering a potential vessel of the emperor's spirit, they set out for Salem Proctor, but Inquisitor Lord Fyodor Karamazov, marching over charred bones of heretics in his monstrous throne of judgment, had other ideas. Karamazov had risen steadily through the Order Hereticus for decades, acquiring many supporters within the more hardline Puritan elements of the Inquisition for his unflinching determination to punish witchcraft and heresy without mercy. His deeds were replete with rigid application of the Imperial Creed, and though some within the Inquisition criticized his inflexibility and claimed that he had sent thousands of innocents to their deaths, Karamazov would reply with Judge Traggett's famous maxim that claims of innocence meant nothing, serving only to prove a foolish lack of caution. A staunch Amalefian, Karamazov was bitterly opposed to the notion of change, believing that the emperor's plan for his people must be left to unfold as he had planned, without the arrogant intervention of those who believed they understood his will. Before the foreign inquisitors arrived, Karamazov arrested Icariel, taking him to the Inquisition fortress of Severin, and placing him in the chambers of truth and penitence. Karamazov was a harsh judge, and brooked no pleas of innocence, once famously boasting he had sent more witches and heretics to their deaths than Macarius. For 6 months Karamazov subjected Icariel to all the torments and theological arguments at his disposal, ignoring repeated demands of other inquisitors and members of the Ecclesiarchy who wished to see the preacher. Ecclesiarch Decius the 23rd petitioned the masters of the Inquisition to have Icariel released, and other inquisitors mobilized local forces and prepared to lay siege to Severin. If they had not granted access to the preacher, but by then it was too late. Acting as judge during execution, Karamazov ascended the throne of judgment and pronounced his sentence upon Icariel. He was a false prophet of the emperor, and would be purified in the cleansing fires of absolution. Sentence was notarized by the throne's leximechanic, and then carried out by the implemented execution servitor. For the sentence passed, the charged remains of Icariel were delivered to the Ecclesiarchy for internment, and Karamazov returned to his duties. The Ecclesiarch called for his immediate arrest and examination, but when the taint of chaos was later uncovered on Salem Proctor, amongst those who had followed the teachings of Icariel, Karamazov was vindicated in the most public way possible. Despite this, Karamazov has his undying enmity of the Ecclesiarchy and foreign faction of the Inquisition. See, Karamazov is an interesting character. This absolute staunch, unyielding inquisitor is like, he just butchers anyone who literally disagrees with him. Here's a quote in the story afterwards on the page, same page. "There is no such thing as a plea of innocence in my court. A plea of innocence is guilty of wasting my time. Guilty!" Inquisitor Lord Fyodor Karamazov. It's like he is so single-minded within his own ideals that he has no room for, to be dissuaded. It's like yesterday when they said those who the most extreme elements tend to closely resemble those of the opposing view, and this is a good example of that because he is an absolute monster. There is really no other word for it. A taint of chaos was found on the planet, but it also says, but it doesn't mention that it was actually in a Carial. There was a taint of chaos. We knew the ecclesiarch himself, the cardinal, was obviously tainted because he had been using the planet for his own ends. So that's where the taint came from. But in Karamazov's eyes, because of what he did, it must have been a Carial. And this what's the word? But the fact that the answer came before the question, he put the cart before the horse. It obviously was the Carial, was the taint of chaos, but the taint of chaos wasn't. We don't know the taint of chaos was in a Carial, and the model itself is actually really good. I do like the model, but this ideal that we see in some Inquisitors, and again the more extreme Inquisitors, this whole, causation doesn't equal correlation. That's the one I was thinking of. And he doesn't seem to understand that he could be wrong, and he's divine. He's divinely guided, and no one knows the will of the Emperor, but he does what he does, and he's an absolute monster for it. He isn't one of the good guys. He definitely isn't. I'm just absolutely burning people because they may say the wrong thing to him. And it doesn't even have to be, it could be just an insult, and he can say, well, you got the taint of chaos, and he will just destroy you, and it's horrid. And out of all the Inquisitors, he's probably my least favourite. I know TTS did the whole, he's now got the shard of the Emperor in him, but in reality, this guy's just evil. He is. And this also shows that the Inquisition doesn't actually have to, especially Order of Hereticus and Adeptus, don't actually have to answer to the ecclesiarchy, but they can do what they want if they think the ecclesiarchy is wrong. As much as you constantly hear in the 40k law about how the ecclesiarchy is the be-all and end-all, they're the big power, but this shows the Inquisition is even more powerful than them, and to have a psychopath like Fyodor Karamazov in that Inquisition is probably worse than the ecclesiarchy itself, because he's he's hell bent on death. He's just a nasty man, and that's just the problem with him. And it shows a problem with the Inquisition, that someone like him can raise through the Inquisition with this mindset and not ever be answered, judged for it or answered for it, because they're the highest order in the whole of the Imperium, save the Emperor himself. And you got to imagine, like, what about, because you see about Space Marine chapters who become traitors extremis, excommunicatus, because they may do something an Inquisitor disagrees with, and someone like Lord Karamazov would be nonplussed just to exterminate a Space Marine chapter, just because they may do something that he finds heretical. Anything. I mean, imagine the Blood Angels. They drink blood. He could be like, hey, if they drink blood, we're just going to exterminate his bow. Okay, it's an extreme example, because the Blood Angels would probably never be exterminated. Or Flesh Tears, there's another example. Flesh Tears, and they're complete psychopathic rage monsters that they are. Lord Karamazov would probably see that as heretical and go like, yeah, we're just going to exterminate the Flesh Tears. Even though the Flesh Tears are extremely loyal. To him, it's not just about the loyalty, it's about his point of view of what loyalty is. Sorry, my phone just went off. And that's, he's not a nice character, but he has got a good model. And he does show the far extremes of the Inquisition in a very blinding light. Anyway, what do you guys think of Fyodor Karamazov? Do you like the character? Do you like his lore? Leave your comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe as always. Ring that notification bell. The usual YouTube stuff, you know that. Links to Element Games is down below, as is with my comic as always. And I hope to have you all have a very good day.